You show up, you go into the emergency room, they see you right away, right? There's not a huge line of people waiting to get in. Every time we've gone, there's been nobody waiting. It's basically they're waiting for somebody to come in to help.
Hmm.
Um, so my wife had a spill, broke her finger pretty bad, right? And we got right in. Um, they put ice on it. They get you know, the X-ray machine going, get an X-ray, call in an orthopedist. He comes in. They gave her a couple options on how to reset it. So yeah, so the whole thing, and let's see, that one was a little bit more expensive, but it was like I think it was right around $100 for everything.
Wow. All right, so today we're heading down to the beautiful country of Mexico in this area called Mazatlan. It's a popular area on the Pacific coast. It's just north of Puerto Vallarta, a bit.
Yeah,
And
yep.
I'm with my friend Mike Anderson. Mike, man, thanks for doing the podcast.
Yeah, you're welcome. Glad to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, pleasure to meet you, and thanks so much. So, tell us a little bit about you, where you're from, and how you landed in Mazatlan, and how long you've been down there.
Okay. Well, I'm from California, born and raised down there in the Los Angeles area. Lived in California my whole life before moving down here. So mostly in Southern California, but I also lived in Chico for a time, Santa Rosa, South Lake Tahoe, Fresno, Clovis. So I mean, literally all over the state, from northern, central, southern, exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so I ended up meeting my current wife when I lived in Riverside.
Okay.
So we met online. We went out for a while. She ended up moving in with me. We've been married for about 7 years. Just so happened that she was from Mazatlan.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm one of the lucky ones. I'm looking on a map going, that looks like a pretty good spot, right on the coast. It's kind of directly across from the tip of Baja, like from Cabo San Lucas, straight across the Sea of Cortez.
Yeah.
And so, a couple years goes by, we come for a visit. And I'm like, oh, this place is awesome. It's similar to Cabo, where there's a lot of tourism, but it's a full city on its own right, with the
Yeah.
largest shrimp fleet, um, basically almost in the world. So they're very well known for that. And a city of 500,000 people. It's a very Mexican city, compared to Cabo, which is more like full of gringos. Here, there's a lot less.
Yeah.
It's more of a Mexican resort town. So the Mexicans
Mhm.
come here from all over to party and to vacation. So
Wow. Very
and
cool.
it's cheaper than Cabo.
That's such an awesome story too, because you two met 7 years ago. You never know what direction your life will turn into. You know what I mean? And it's like, now look at you. You meet this woman, and you have a place that you live in Mexico, in a beautiful area of Mexico. That's really, really cool. All right, well, let's dive into it. So the viewers, the expats, the retirees that are thinking of moving to Mexico, in particular Mazatlan, are going to need a visa. Do you know anything about? You've been down there for a while.
Yes.
What?
So there's a few different ways to go.
Okay.
Some people come in, like there's a lot of snowbirds that come here. There's
Hmm.
maybe 5,000 gringos that live here year round, and maybe 25, 30,000 snowbirds that come down.
Okay.
So when you come into Mexico, you stop at the immigration, you get your passport stamped, and then you're good for 180 days,
Okay.
right? So the snowbirds, it works perfect. Whether you
Yeah.
fly in or you drive down, you usually get 180 days, and they're only staying for about 5 months. So it works perfect for them. Some people live here year round, and then they would actually have to go all the way back to the border, either fly back or drive back, to get their passport restamped and get another 180 days,
Okay. So there
right?
are people
Then
doing border runs.
border runs, yeah, there are people that do that. Most people that live here will actually go for their residency, and you can do temporary residency for up to 4 years, and then permanent residency after that.
Okay.
Um, and then you can go for your citizenship, years after that, if that's what you want to do.
Hmm.
So some people, kind of just depends on what you're looking for.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. All right, great. Okay, so let's dive into people need a place to live. Mazatlan is this, I've never been there. I've seen the pictures. It's stunningly beautiful. It's gorgeous. So this is a paradise location that most people can't even wrap their head around until they see the pictures. And so what can you get rents for?
Yeah, so rents, if we're talking about expats moving here or snowbirding here, you're going to be focused within probably half a mile of the beach, maybe a mile from the beach,
Hmm.
which are obviously the higher rents. But there are older places. I'd say the rents have gone up substantially over the last 2 to 3 years. Used to be able to find a place for, $400 to $500 a month. That's probably, I think you'd be lucky to find a place for 500 a month, even a small place in an older building, right?
Okay.
Uh, and then on up from there, of course. So
Okay.
in my neighborhood, which is an upscale Mexican neighborhood, but there's a lot of expats here as well, probably 10-15% expats in our neighborhood. Rents are going to start at probably 700 a month, maybe a little bit below that. There's a couple of older buildings that might be a little bit less, but 600 to 800. And then for really modern, brand new, beautiful condos, 900, 1,000,
Hmm.
in there. Part of the raise in the rents is that the exchange rate has gone a little bit haywire,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
So a couple of years ago, it used to be 20 to 1, 20 pesos per dollar, and now it's only 17.
Hmm.
So the rents maybe only went up a little, but the exchange rate cost you another 15%. So that's been a little bit of a struggle for some people.
Okay. So on the low end, we're looking at, if I probably do, you'd probably have to do some leg work, but you could find something for 500, hitting the streets a little bit, talking to
Yeah,
people, see what you can
potentially.
find.
Yeah, yeah, they are
And
out
then you're
there.
looking at about 600, 700 in your area of the more upscale area. Okay. Do any of those rents include utilities?
For the most part, no.
Let's break
Yeah,
down. What do you pay for utilities per month? Water, electric, Wi-Fi. Do you have
let's see.
gas down there?
Yeah, so gas is going to be propane,
Okay.
right? So some people just have smaller tanks, but for most places, we'll have a pretty big tank, and you're only going to fill it up every few months,
Okay.
right? So like our tank is, I don't know, it's pretty big,
Hmm.
100 gallons or whatever, and we fill it up, and we use a lot of gas here because my wife does a lot of cooking. Um, but we still only fill it up every 5 months, 4 or 5
Wow.
months, and about $100.
Wow. Okay. So,
So, but she,
wow.
one of her businesses is baking cakes and flan and pies and everything. So she's in the kitchen baking all the time. So a lot of people, it's even less than that.
Hmm.
Um, we have a 3-bedroom house with a swimming pool. Our electric bill ranges from probably $50 in, when it's cooler. And
Hmm.
then in the summer, when we're running air conditioners, it's maybe up to $200 a month.
Okay.
Uh, Now, if you're in a small apartment, it's going to be less than half of that. Most people I've seen in apartments are paying $50 a month for electricity.
So you're probably what? Would you estimate about maybe 125 per month year round?
On Yeah, on average, yeah.
Okay.
You
Yeah.
know,
Okay. How about water? How about water over there?
yeah, water's super cheap. Even at my house, and we're watering a small lawn that we have and refilling our pool, it's like $10 a month,
Okay.
or even cheaper. Like a small apartment's going to be $5 a month for water.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
And Wi-Fi and cell, what do you pay for that?
Well, let's see. We still have our American plans for the cell phones. So we're
Okay.
paying, that's $90 a month. That's one of our biggest
Hmm.
expenses. And then let's see, internet is going to run you about probably $25 a month, and it's good high speed internet. So that's reasonable. 25, $30 a month.
Are you connected to your internet right now?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's
High
like here
speed
come
internet. Yeah,
Yeah, you're
it's
coming in
good.
crystal clear. There's no hiccups or anything. Yeah, that's great. Okay, awesome. All right, so all right, the next thing is groceries. For the viewers that want to move down there, they're interested in learning about, wow, I spend a lot in groceries, especially in the United States. What will I spend per month approximately in Mexico?
Well, to start out, the price of groceries has gone up down here substantially. But when you're starting from a lower spot and everything's getting more expensive, you're still quite a bit cheaper. So we'll go to the grocery store, like one of the big box stores. There's a Walmart close to where we live. Then there's other stores called Lay or called Soriana that are similar, full grocery stores. Probably every 2 weeks, we will spend a couple $100, full
Okay.
cartload of groceries, and really stock up on everything. And then in between, there might be one more run to the local, maybe a little closer store that doesn't have as big a selection, and we'll spend $75 there, maybe
Okay.
once or twice in between. And then there's the little marketitas, the tienditas that are in almost every neighborhood where you don't have to get in your car, or you don't have to, take whatever transportation you have to go to the big supermarket that's a mile away.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you can go to the little corner market and pick up almost everything there. And the prices are very similar. They're not
Yeah.
super high. So you can pick up a loaf of bread or a pack of tortillas or even some vegetables, meats, or what have you. So yeah, very convenient.
You guys are doing about 400 a month.
I would say more. It's probably 200 plus 200 plus at least another 100. So I'm going to say, uh, or maybe even going on about $600
Okay.
for two people. But we cook in the house. We don't eat out a lot,
Okay.
right? So we're eating at home all the time.
So, Mike, for a single retiree, what do you think they would spend per month?
Yeah, it would be 250 to
About two,
300.
about 250. Okay.
Yeah. And we have family and friends that come over that we feed as well. So, you know, um, we always keep extra food on hand because people would just drop by sometimes, and we feed them, right?
Yeah, yeah. Okay, great. All right. Well, getting around. How do you guys get around in Mazatlan? Do they have rideshare down there? Is Uber in
It,
the neighborhood?
all the above. So we're
Yeah.
from California, and so there's two of us, and we have three cars. Well, a big pickup truck and two cars. So
Oh, nice.
we can't get away from the California mindset. Um, that being said, awesome public transportation. There's a very good bus system that goes all over the city. So you can figure out which bus to take to go to Walmart, which bus to take to go to Centro, which bus to take anywhere in the city. 13 pesos.
Wow.
So that's good. So you can hop on a bus. We're kind of towards the north end of town, and if you want to go all the way to Centro Historico, um, 13 pesos, and you're there in half an hour.
Yeah.
And it goes right along the beachfront there, along the Malecon. So you get a beautiful view. Well worth it.
Hmm.
Um, we do have Uber here. There's also a company called Didi, which is very similar to Uber, where you got the app. You call, you tell them where you are, and you get a quote for where you're going. Didi is known to be a little cheaper than Uber, but both are very reasonable. So you could say you want to go all the way to Centro Historico, you're going to pay probably $6.
Okay.
Um, if you want to go just a couple of miles, you could be paying $3.
$3 for 2 miles.
Yeah,
And Didi, is that DIDI?
DI, right? You download the app,
Yeah.
and it's the same thing. Now,
Okay.
they want you to put your credit card number in, but you click the box that says you're going to pay cash to the driver,
Hmm.
right? But that's what they prefer. They prefer the cash to them, and you punch in where you're going, and you can have somebody here in 5 minutes.
Okay. Awesome.
And
That's
there are
convenient.
there are also there are also taxis if you're more familiar and comfortable with taxis. They're just a little bit more than Uber. And then there's also something called a couple of things. One's called a pulmonia, which is an open air, kind of looks like in between a golf cart and a dune buggy, and that's a fun way to get around town. And if you look on YouTube, you can see the pulmonias in action. And then there's another vehicle called an auriga, which is a little pickup truck with bench seats in the back that can hold up to 10 people. So if you have a big group, you flag down the Auriga, and you can go across town for, you know, $5, $6, $7.
So you got a lot of options.
There's more options in Mazatlan than anywhere else.
If you rely on this type of transportation, public transportation, what do you think an expat would need to budget per month?
Oh, you know, and then of course there's walking. Depending on where you live, you know, you may be able to walk to where you're going. Like we didn't used to have a supermarket close to us, but they just put one in. Beautiful, brand new supermarket about a half a mile away.
Mm-hmm.
You
Nice.
know, in the afternoon in the summer, it's probably too hot to walk, but other than that, it's close by now. So
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people walk, you know, most of the time. Now, if you're going, you know, across town, yeah. So it all depends on, you
Yeah.
know, how much, but you know, you could budget in, you know, $25 for
25.
for a month.
Yeah,
You know,
that
if you
sounds
do a
good.
lot of moving around, it could be 50.
All right. So one of the reasons people move to Mexico, Mike, is for the Mexican food because it's so good.
Yeah.
So at these local family Mexican neighborhood restaurants, what's a going rate for a nice lunch, nice meal down there?
I would say a good meal with a drink is probably going to set you back maybe $15.
Okay.
So you're going out to dinner, you're going out to lunch, not a fancy place, but a nice sit down restaurant with good service and quality food. I'm going to say $15 range. You can find a little cheaper, and of course, there's plenty of high end restaurants you want to spend, you know, $50 on a really wonderful steak or lobster or what have you. Yeah, that's all
Mhm.
available. But yeah, good quality restaurant. Um, you know, $12, $15 a piece.
Do you have any of those off-road kind of like cafes where you can stop off and there's a lot of the Mexican people eat at these places because they know the
Oh,
food is superb.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
there's taquerias all over town,
Okay.
and you can always tell the good ones because it's full of Mexicans, right? That's what you're
Yeah.
looking for,
Hmm.
right? You're going to find probably very reasonable price and very good food, and you know, the typical gringo will look and say, "Hey, let's go to that place. There's nobody there. We can just get served right away." And
Yeah.
but that's not what we do.
Oh.
We look for the places that are full of Mexicans.
That's smart, man. I taught my son that a long time ago. You never go to a restaurant where there's no vehicles in the parking lot because the food isn't going to be fresh. You know,
Yeah.
you always go to the places where it's filled because they got to keep, they move through the food. It's not just sitting in a refrigerator somewhere. So at a Taco Rio, what would you pay for a little lunch there?
Oh, more like $5 a person.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Six, maybe six. You know, they're not as cheap as they used to be. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I see a lot of the tacos now that you're going to find in town are going to be 35 pesos, and that's
Yeah.
$2.
I
So,
think it depends, like you live in such a beautiful area of Mexico. In those areas, there's just a lot of people that are leaving Canada, they're leaving the US, they're leaving and they're moving to Mexico. And those are usually the first places they go to, right on the ocean, near the beach, close to the ocean. You're living in this the beautiful place. But I imagine, you get inland further. I mean, the price has got to drop significantly, you
oh yeah,
know?
even in town, you just go 3 miles over, and you're going to be paying 40% less for
Yeah.
all the food. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Exactly. And what do you guys think that like for restaurant eats you would budget per month?
Close to a couple $100 for two
Okay.
of us.
All right. And then
You know, we don't
one
go out.
person one
Yeah, we don't
person will
go out
say
all the
100.
time.
Well,
Yeah, for
you guys are spending $600 a month for groceries, man. You better be eating at home.
sure. We do.
All right. Well, the other thing is everybody is always interested in healthcare, especially coming from the United States where it's so costly. What can you share with us about the healthcare in Mexico for retirees considering moving there?
Well, in our city, That's what I know. So there are several very modern hospitals here. There's a couple of hospitals really close to us, within a couple of miles, that were both built in the last 5, 6 years. So they're fully modern, all up to date, excellent doctors, great staff. We've had unfortunately, we've had to visit the hospital two or sort of three times
Uh-oh.
with kind of emergency type of little injuries that we have sustained.
Hmm.
So we know all about, you show up, you go into the emergency room, they see you right away, right? There's not a huge line of people waiting to get in. Every time we've gone, there's been nobody waiting. It's basically they're waiting for somebody to come in to help.
Hmm.
Um, so my wife had a spill, broke her finger pretty bad, right? And we got right in. They put ice on it. They get the X-ray machine going, get an X-ray, call in an orthopedist. He comes in. They gave her a couple options on how to reset it. We went for the most expensive option, which is to deaden the pain and everything, and then reset the thing,
Hmm.
wrap it, and then schedule a second appointment with the guy. And so
Mike,
paying for yeah.
there was an option that they don't deaden the pain?
Oh yeah, the old give and go, or whatever you want to call that one. So
Why? That's wild.
I think if you're a man, you just
Yeah. Right.
you just say, yeah, just
Pop it
go
back
for it. But
in. Pop it
yeah,
back in.
yeah, so the whole thing, and let's see, that one was a little bit more expensive, but it was like, I think it was right around $100 for everything.
Wow. So you
And
paid out of pocket?
yeah, so we don't have any insurance at all. You bring your credit card with you, and
Yeah.
they want to know that they're going to get paid. Um, there are options for people on Medicare. If you do some of the Advantage plans, do cover you for emergency medical here in Mexico. So that's
Oh,
something that everybody's going to need to research on their own. I'm not
sure.
old enough for that yet. You got to be 65, and I'm just going
Yeah.
to be turning 62. So
Uh-huh.
in a few years, I'll be signing up for that. And it's some kind of an expense, but I think it's smart to have that. Right
Hmm.
now, we're just paying out of pocket. But I mean, you go to the emergency room and get a broken finger set and X-rayed and everything, and it's maybe it was $125. I mean, it was
Wow.
very reasonable.
Yeah,
Um,
with an orthopedic surgeon taking a look at it.
yeah, exactly.
It's amazing. That is amazing. I'm glad her finger's okay. That's great. Okay,
Yeah,
so last thing, just you bought a home there, correct?
yeah, that's right.
Okay. So what are the going rates? I mean, for somebody that comes down and they're like, oh, you know what? This place is amazing. I've lived here for a year. I'm renting now. Let me look into real estate. What are the steps? Who do you go through? I'm sure there's a few agents down there. But then what are the steps and what are the homes going for that you see around that particular area? We could
Right.
talk maybe if you have an idea, any idea.
Oh yeah, I know all about it. So there are several agencies in town. There's two Remaxes in town, or maybe three Remaxes in town.
Okay.
Century 21, Keller Williams. All these major players have bilingual agents
Okay.
uh, that will make you feel comfortable. Usually,
Hmm.
each one of these outfits has an American and a Canadian, at least one of
Hmm.
each, right? So
Hmm.
there's a lot of Canadians that come here. So depending on who you're comfortable with. You go through one of the big agencies, they've done this 100 times. They know how to walk you through all the steps.
Sure.
So being a foreigner in Mexico, you're not allowed to own the property under your own name. You own it through a bank trust called a fideicomiso,
Right.
right?
Okay.
So that's something that you're going to be paying to set up. Um, I can't remember how much it is to set up, $1,000 or something to set it up. And
Hmm.
then you pay a few $100s a year, $300-400 a year to keep the thing going, right?
Okay.
So that's an expense, but that gets offset by the property tax rates are so low here So we bought a 3 bedroom, 2.5 bath house
Hmm.
in a beautiful neighborhood, and it cost a couple $100,000 3 years ago.
Okay.
Um, our property taxes here are, trying to think, $600-700 a year.
Okay.
So on a house like this in California, $7,000 a year, right? So I mean,
Sure.
it's
Yeah.
really a night and day difference.
Yeah.
So yeah, so we bought a nice home, needed some work, so we've had to put some money and time into it. $200,000 3 years ago. Now the same house would probably be in the $300,000 range.
Okay.
Although I did see very recently a nice, little bit smaller home on a little bit smaller lot in the same neighborhood was about what we paid. So,
Okay.
uh, so a home in a nice neighborhood is gonna, that's in reasonable condition, is gonna be starting at 200,000, 300 for something a little bigger, a little nicer, and then of course on up from there, sky's the limit, right?
Okay.
Uh, there are some private neighborhoods, even close by us, where if you want to have a gated community, that's definitely available. The prices are about the same. We
Okay.
didn't want to live in a gated community. We want to just be out in a regular neighborhood. So that's what we chose to do. But everybody's different, have different
Sure.
situations.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
condos, right? Condos, you can still find like a 2 bedroom, 1 bath condo in an old building for around 100,000.
Okay.
And then the modern ones, the newer ones, go up from there. 150,000 is more of a common price, up to 200,000 for a very, very nice condo, not on the beach. You go beachfront, 300, 400, 500 on up from there.
Hmm.
So there's a very wide range if you're
Okay.
looking to buy here.
How about if you go inland to like, 5 kilometers? Can you get a better deal on homes and condos further
Oh
in?
yeah, I mean, if you want to go in,
How far do they drop down?
oh, just a couple of miles. I mean, yeah, like 5 kilometers or 3 or 4. Like where my wife's son lives and his family, they have a tiny 2 bedroom, 1 bath little townhome. Something like that could be bought for probably 70, 60, $70,000.
Okay.
Um, you'll probably be the only gringo, in the whole neighborhood.
And
Um,
that's about 3 kilometers inland.
yeah, yeah, three or
So,
3 or 4,
hey
very, very
man,
close.
with global warming, they're playing it smart. Because I'm guessing that you can walk to the beach.
My house is 2 short blocks from the beach. It's about
Yeah,
150
man.
yards.
You're in
Yeah,
the danger
it's
zone.
it's definitely a dream come true to live this close to the ocean.
It
I can
is.
walk there in 5 minutes. But yeah, if we get a 3 meter tidal surge, I'm going to have waves lapping at my doorstep.
Have you picked up the surfing thing, Mike? Or
I do have a surfboard, but I'm terrible at it. So what
oh
I
yeah.
got is boogie boards, and I'm pretty good at that. And I go all the time, and it's a lot of fun. And I'm getting better and better. I'm getting to the point where I can do a couple tricks and really, really having fun riding the waves out there. So absolutely.
Yeah, that's great, man. You're living the dream, buddy. You got a great setup. Good for you. Well deserved. That's all, we covered everything. Is there anything else that you can think of that we didn't discuss that people that are considering moving there, like a retiree or expat,
Yeah.
any other info you can share?
I would say, especially if you're maybe your age and you're trying to kind of figure it out, man, get a plan together. I was lucky enough to own a home that I could sell and take that money to actually I bought the house before I moved, right? So I had to refi everything because you kind of need cash to buy down here.
Yes. Yeah.
So I refied when interest rates were low, pulled the money out, bought the house down here. Was planning on working for another couple of years, and then I just decided, you know what? Once I had the house down here, man, it was like a magnet. It was just drawing me here, and that was
Yeah.
it. I sold
Yeah.
everything and moved down. So it's definitely doable. It takes a while to sell all your stuff, um, but I would say, maybe pick 2 or 3 towns that you would consider moving to, and then come for a visit.
Yeah.
Stay for a week or two, get an Airbnb, and live in a neighborhood.
Yes. Yeah.
Don't stay in a hotel at the beach, because that's probably not how you're going to live. I mean, unless you're going oceanfront condo, then yeah, maybe that's for you. But for the rest of us, uh, pull into a neighborhood and walk around, see what it's like. It's a lot of
Mhm.
fun to live here, and if you're thinking about Mexico, start learning Spanish. Start
Yeah,
now.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's awesome. Mike Anderson, thanks so much for taking the time, man, to share all this info. I appreciate it.
Yeah, Ray, man, it's nice getting to connect with you, and anytime you have any more questions, or always available.
All right, man. Well, you have a great rest of the day, and I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, you too. Bye.
Ready for the lift off? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.